and he is scrupulous about fulfilling assigned tasks on time and on budget. Dear participants, I am now requesting Mr. Zakaria Muhammad Zakari, International Development Consultant, USAID, to present this paper.
The President, Mr. Jamal Ahmad, the Chairman, Seminar Conference Committee, and the Vice President, Mr. Arif Khan, the Secretary, Mr. Abdurrahman Khan, distinguished fellows and associate members, and my students, colleagues. I do not want to claim so much knowledge on organizational behavior and emotional intelligence. I look at myself more like a student because I am in scholarship all my life. I always tell people that nobody has monopoly of knowledge. It is a big privilege for me. You wouldn't be able to quantify to be here and talking to you. I am just about 9 months in Bangladesh, and I feel honored to come and talk to you on a little thing I know about emotional intelligence. Knowledge generally was a battle between what is known theologically and progress in the society. And that is what gave birth to what you call today as natural sciences. Natural sciences became a battle of what you are doing as accountants and then fitting what we do as accountants with human behavior. That is the biggest battle. How do we fit in now organizational corporate culture with human behavior, with our behavior? So many theories in organizational behavior gave birth to what we call today as emotional intelligence. Some of you will remember the scientific management theory. You remember the Herzberg theory, which is an add-on to the scientific management theory that added physiological and social needs. It added to science social needs. What are our social, or I can say psychological needs? And that gave back to also the Sigmund Freud psychoanalysis. I always love to discuss that, and that gives an answer to the president. Sigmund Freud came up with the idea of the id and the ego and the superego. And he looks at the id as raw, as unconscious, the ego as conscious, and the superego as conscious. Now, how does it work? The environment, the culture, determines our behavior. We internalize the good and the bad part of our culture and our society, and we behave as such. So how does the three work? The superego is conscious. You know what? Sometimes when you do something, you feel shy. You know shy? You feel angry. You feel happy. That is the superego at work. I'm giving you generally a short note of emotional intelligence. So, if you internalize the behavior in the society, you know the right and wrong, then you conform to the norms and values of the society. You behave right. I wave my hand and you make sense of my waving. My thumb, you make sense. And I shout, you make sense. I cry, you make sense. When you do not do that, when you do not make sense out of what I do, and I realize you are not making sense, what happens? My super ego will punish my id for allowing my ego to behave in an unruly manner. I don't know whether you understand. I'll say it again. When somebody catches me, meets me doing the wrong thing, I feel shy. I feel bad. Am I right? I feel ashamed of myself. That feeling is a punishment within my inner self. That feeling that I assimilated, that means I have assimilated the right and the wrong. Because I know what is right and wrong, because I am ashamed of myself, I am caught stealing. I am caught doing what is not right. Then my inner self, because I internalize, whether it is through culture or religion or values, whatever you call them, or beliefs. That is the purpose of the beliefs. They are embedded into us as human beings. And when we do something that is contrary, then our system punishes us for allowing ourselves. This is very important. For allowing ourselves, for making ourselves do something that is wrong. So, for me, this is going to be the basis of our discussion today. And I want you to keep that. We are talking about the individual that is raw, that is unconscious, and the individual that is conscious, and then the individual that has a conscience, or you can call it conscience, however you use the word. Now, today we are going to be looking at our objectives. We need to understand the concept itself, maybe by definition. What is emotional intelligence? We need to understand the relationship between the individual, emotional intelligence, and our workplaces, where we work. How we can translate our individual actions into, or how we transfer our behavior, individual behavior, into our workplace. We are going to discuss that. I will try as much as possible to be as practical as possible. We are going to positively reframe our perspective of people and situations. How do I see my wife at home? Why do I think she does not behave well? How do I see my supervisor? How do I see my subordinates? We are going to recover from negative experiences with people's situations quicker. I think the purpose of this, my hope, is after this understanding, after this seminar, we will be able to overcome the negativities in our emotions. Then we are going to enhance a better working relationship with others, and then finally to build a mental mechanism of success in work life and relationships for the future. And I will just add that we are going to find ourselves better people in interpersonal relationships. We are about to explore what emotional intelligence is, why it matters. Emotional intelligence and individual successes and organizational successes. We need to establish the link. When you talk about individual successes and organizational successes, you are talking about two major things. effectiveness, and efficiency. Now, what is emotional intelligence? Sorry. This represents different, oh, sorry. Okay, this represents different emotions. When we talk about emotion, we are talking about being happy, or sad, or angry, or afraid, or ashamed. And I want all of us to flash back. I want us to give ourselves an answer. What makes us happy? What ticks in us to make us happy? What makes us sad? You have different categories of happiness. You meet people that will be laughing. You meet people that will smile, will be cheerful. You meet people that will just be glad. There are different kinds of people. There are people that you don't ever see frown their face. They are always cheerful. And I guess, if I am not wrong, most of us want to be those kind of people. We want to always see ourselves smiling and cheerful. What makes those kind of people special? What makes them always cheerful and happy? And what makes some other people sad? What makes us distressed? What makes us, some people attempt to kill themselves, commit suicide. What makes us different for such people? We need to understand that. So there are different in life, in social literature, in reality, different kinds of emotional behavior and how to express different emotions. And we have to understand. The president is talking about the plane. When you are in the plane and there is a turmoil, what do? One of the biggest challenges in Dhaka is the traffic. You are a corporate person and you have an appointment, or you are a marketer, you do some marketing, and you have to go marketing in this situation. How do you compromise your activities and your emotions? A lot of rickshaws, a lot of motorcycles, and people drive anyhow. How do you compromise what you are thinking in terms of where you are going to and who is the bottleneck, the barrier, your challenges? This creates different emotions in individuals. I want us to note this. This is the first, we are talking about the basis of individuals in terms of the unconscious, the conscious, and the conscience. Now we are talking about the different representation of the conscious and the unconscious. So, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is our capacity, individual capacity, each one of us. It's not now organizational behavior. It's how we fit in. How we fit in our homes with our children and our wives. How we fit in the interaction, interrelationships from our homes. I'm saying we, I. It's not two, it's one. How I fit in. How do I fit in? Now, how do I fit in? Well, how do I know myself? Do I know myself? Do I know what makes me happy or unhappy? Am I conscious or aware of myself? That is emotional intelligence. Emotion. You see what I said, sad, happiness, isn't it? Different manifestations of behavior. Do I know myself in terms of those definitions? Emotional intelligence is sometimes referred to as people smarts. That people that are emotionally intelligent are smart because they know themselves. Now, I want to add to the president, yes, you know yourself and how to deal with people. No, you know yourself and how you fit in with people, not how to deal with people. How do you fit in? The steelman that does not know steel, and he is paid very much, is because he is able to fit as an individual. As a corporate person, if you are not able to fit in your workplace, then you are going to be a failure. How do you socially fit? That is the ability of becoming smart. It is not generally included in the type of intelligence. Intelligence evaluation included in the traditional concept of IQ. The traditional concept of IQ talks about more on rationality. It talks about more on the individual characteristics in terms of what is called biological nature. Some people are smarter than others by nature. Emotional intelligence is saying no, it is as a result of people knowing their nature and fitting it within the larger society, within the larger whole, within the interaction. One man cannot live alone. If somebody slaps you on the road and you slap him back, all of us will not be here. Am I right? If somebody hits you and you hit him back, we are going to be very violent, and that will result into conflict, and then nobody will be able to manage it. So the whole purpose of life is emotional intelligence. Now, the most widely accepted view of emotional intelligence identifies 20 competencies in an individual. 20 competencies, qualifications. We are competent, they identify different levels, and which are turned into 4 clusters. These competencies, these qualifications are into 4 clusters. 1, self-awareness. Are you aware of yourself? 2, can you manage yourself? If you cannot manage yourself, then you cannot manage an organization. You cannot manage your wife. You cannot manage your children. 3, social awareness. Social awareness is where does it fall? Does it fall under the ego or the superego? Social awareness. Social awareness. It falls under the ego. Social awareness. And then skills. So these 4, you have 20 embedded into 4. We need to be aware of ourselves. We need to manage ourselves. We need to have awareness of our interactions and relationships, and we need to develop the skills. Now I'm going to be looking at this one by one. I hope it's not going to be very boring. I will try as much as possible to work on it. Why is emotional intelligence important for us? 1, leadership. Knowledge of emotional intelligence breeds good and better leadership. Research of the Center for Creative Leadership has shown that the primary cause of executive turnover was individual deficiency. When you say executive turnover, when people leave their jobs, when people are not able to cope, it is because they are deficient in the area of emotional intelligence. Another study that involved 130 executives, results showed that there is a strong correlation between how well an individual handles personal emotions. How you handle personal emotions and the willingness of others to work with that individual. Then a leader with a positive mood and attitude to work tends to interact with others in a way that results in a positive, helpful, and cooperative work group. That is a leader that has developed within himself the team spirit, the spirit of togetherness, because he is able to control his emotions. So the 4 clusters: social awareness, self-awareness. I think this is straightforward. Self-awareness is the ability to accurately sense and identify our feelings. When I say accurately, I am going to add one word. You need to be very objective about yourself. Objectivity is the ability of looking at facts as they are, not as you want to see them. You have to see yourself objectively. You have to be aware of yourself. Then self-awareness is concerned with knowing about your own internal states. What makes me angry? What makes me sad? What makes me happy? What makes me knowledgeable? What gives me an opportunity to interact? What turns me off? Self-awareness is very important to achieving success at work. How do we do that? You have to suppress your emotions. You have to improve on your emotions. You are leaving your home and you get angry with your family. Do you transfer the aggression to your workplace? You are coming to the office and within traffic jam somebody makes you angry. Do you transfer the aggression to your office? An office staff? You are leaving your office with all the stresses. Do you transfer your stress to your family? You have to be aware of those traits within you that can be destructive to your life. Now, self-awareness has 3 components. One is emotional self-awareness. 2 is accurate self-assessment. That is what I call objectivity. We have to be accurate in assessing ourselves. And 3, which is very important, you have to develop self-confidence. What makes you shy where you are not supposed to be shy? What makes you weak where you are not supposed to be weak? How do you face challenges of life? There are so many things. Generally, I see Bangladesh people are well traveled all over the world. That is a mark of self-confidence. If people don't have self-confidence, they will not be able to go and face other people. That is one example of self-confidence. Then, as a supervisor or as a worker, you command self-respect in your organization. That is a mark of self-confidence. It breeds self-confidence. I was talking with Muni when we were coming here. When you are honest, it's a mark of respect, and it develops self-confidence. Honesty, integrity. When you are hardworking, you are respected. So these are the kind of things. But then to be able to do that, you have to be aware of your emotions. Secondly, you have to assess your emotions. Thirdly, that will automatically develop your confidence of yourself, that you can do it. Now, the second thing is self-management, which is key. How do I manage myself? Please, I want you to remember I said as an individual. We are looking at ourselves now as me. And our hypothesis is, it is I, me, a reflection of the society. I don't know whether you ever read The Looking Glass Self of Charles Cooley. The Looking Glass Self is saying, you are a reflection of your society. You look at yourself as others look at you. That is the Looking Glass Self. So, we have self-management. How do you manage yourself? The first is self-control. Sometimes if you go for a corporate interview, one of the areas of test is to make you angry or to ask you questions that will determine that whether you have self-control. How do you control yourself? Control yourself from what? From emotions. What are the emotions? Shy is an emotion. Happy or excitement. Anger. How do we control ourselves from those things? Emotions could reflect into somebody that unnecessarily doesn't talk, which is inimical to progress, or somebody that talks too much. It's all emotions. Somebody that talks too much, he doesn't control his mouth, and he is not structured in what he says. Trustworthiness. You have to be very trustworthy. Honesty. I have touched on that. Consciousness. Sometimes you go to bed in the night and you are not able to sleep. And then when you visit the doctor, he tells you you are emotional. Am I right? Consciousness. Try to go to bed, and if you are not able to sleep, try to tell yourself, try to tell your legs, now it's time for bed, and I want to sleep. Try to talk to yourself, and then try to reflect. In terms of self-consciousness, in terms of being conscious, try to reflect the causes of certain actions or behavior in you. That means you are conscious of those, because somebody annoyed me in my home, I am translating it into my everyday life or my work because I'm not happy in my marriage. You don't have to be happy. Seriously, you don't have to be happy, but you have to have the ability of contending with your unhappiness. You don't have to be happy, but you have to have the ability to say, out of my unhappiness, how do I not be happy, contend with it, and survive? That is consciousness. Adaptability. You have to adapt. I'll tell you a secret. I'm in Bangladesh. I came to Bangladesh sometimes in June last year. I took a plane from Qatar to Bangladesh, to Dhaka. I was the only black man in the plane. I had to adapt. I walked the streets of Dhaka and I find myself the only black man. I have to adapt. This is very important. You have to adapt to situations, not your situations, the situations you find yourself. So it's not what you want, it's where you find yourself. It's what you do. Now, in a corporate world, it is not what you want. It depends on the nature of the business. You have to adapt. Adaptation is very important in terms of self-management. Then you have to be optimistic. You have to see the future, you have to see your work as a bright thing. You have to see the bright side. You know what, people as human beings, we are always complaining. When you see everybody is complaining, you have to run away from the emotions or the I don't want to call it gossip. It's not gossip. It's human nature. We are talking about the corporate manager that earns over $1 million per month or whatever. You know the human nature? After sometimes he starts to complain. It's human nature. So we have to look at the bright side of our lives. When you look at the other side, when you are a pessimist, then you are not going to be emotionally intelligent. Then you have to be initiative. You have to develop, you have to improvise. You have to improvise. There is no magic about becoming initiative. Today, knowledge is in our palms. Knowledge is in our palms. There is nothing that has not been tried before. You have the computer, you have the internet, you have the Google. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you have to be able to develop yourself. You have to be, you see, one way to be initiative, one way to keep to their level is to always be current. Always be a student. Always learn something new. The Vice President was talking about the story of the rat. You have to be the rat. You have to always be chasing. You have to imagine that the cat is chasing after you, because the cat always chases after the rat. And then you have to find a way of hiding from the cat. That is the ability of becoming initiative. So I'm going to go into the next one. You have the material, you can read each of them. This is it. Okay. Now I can give you a tip for self-management. Under emotional self-control, make a list of things that trigger you to lose control. I have asked that question. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? Just make a list of things that you do not like. Things that affect your emotions. Not only lose control, make a list of things that affect your emotions. Create a strategy for each to overcome. Create for each a strategy to overcome, to get away, to run away from it. Reduce your stress through physical activity. Try to visit the gym. Try to take a walk. You don't have to run. Please, you don't have to run. You don't have to take a walk. 30 minutes walk. And I was saying to the Vice President earlier, take a walk alone. Don't take a walk with people that will talk to you. Take a walk alone and have a self-appraisal of yourself. Think. I take a walk with my children in Dhaka. But you know what I tell them? Each one of them wants to hold my hands. I tell them, no. You stand in front, you stand behind me. And all of you should go into your own world. Leave me in my own world. So that I will be able to assess myself and assess what I'm doing. If not, I lose it. Under trustworthiness, trust. Spend some time explaining the values and principles that you feel most strongly about and write down the important ones. Next to each one, examine whether your behavior is consistent with the values and ask yourself what you will need to do differently. When we are coming here, Muni asked me the importance of honesty and trust. And I said to him, sometimes, because when you talk about trust and honesty, it varies from situation to situation. What is trust in one situation may not be trust and honesty in another situation. Please, I want us to know that. So you need to weigh the situation at hand to be able to say, this is what is trustworthy. You need to weigh the gamut of our relationships. This is being psychological. The person that is smiling at you, is he really trusted? The person you are aligning to in the office, do you really have to trust him? And how do you earn the trust? And how do you create a trustworthy relationship? To create a trustworthy relationship, you have to be as transparent as possible in your relationship. But you have to be very careful. So consider the issues on which you are willing to act against all oppositions. Clarify for yourself what is and what is not worth fighting for. You don't have to fight all battles. They are not worth it. How do you improve self-management? Keep a detailed filing system for all monthly bills. Telephone, rent, electricity. You have to be, what is this saying? Be organized. That is just the word. Try to be organized. Try to run away from being careless. Careless. We are human beings, we are always careless, we don't care. But carelessness is animalistic tendencies. So we have to fight our inner selves from carelessness. Adaptability. Periodically review the process you or your department has in place. What are the strengths and weaknesses of each? Is there a better, more efficient way of approaching things? But I will tell you, you have to be on top of your activities. You have to be technical and professional. Some of my fellow members here and associates are growing, but the students should not be looking at where the fellows are. They should be looking at where the fellows started from. Don't look at the vice president or the president said, oh, you are all going to be this managed people. No. Before you start to manage people, young men and women, before you start to get busy in meetings that takes your entire life, you have to know the process before you get there. And that is the ability, our individual ability to adapt to our dream situations. I think that is why some of you are here. What is our dream and how do we adapt? How do we work towards it and how do we adapt to our dream situations? Self-management, optimism. For 2 or 3 days, make a list of all difficulty you encountered and write down the consequences next to each one. Note that when you are feeling, your feelings are pessimistic in nature, positive activity is shortened. When you do not see the good side, the future side, the good side, the positive result, then you will not be motivated. When you only see the dark side, then you will not be motivated. I think the ability to be an optimist or a pessimist is an individual thing, and we have to battle with it. We have to be very careful. I always tell people that the aeroplane didn't start in a day, and it started by falling down, and that didn't make them to fly again. It started by going up and coming down. That was the first trial, and then they kept trying and kept trying. And we are here. And that is not to say the aeroplanes do not fall. And we still take them. If we don't, then we are pessimists, and then we are not going to get anywhere. So you look at the initiatives, what you do as leaders and so on. So social awareness, I have discussed this. We have to be aware of our environment. The components of social awareness is empathy, organizational awareness, and service orientation. Now we are moving from the individual to the organization. We are moving from the individual. It contains 3 basic categories under social awareness. It is empathy, organizational awareness, and service orientation. Now, empathy is about understanding other people. Now, please, I want to be cautious here. Why do we need to understand other people? This is very important. What's my business with other people? Why do I have to understand them? We need to understand other people to improve ourselves. If you do not understand other people are a necessity to you. You have to necessarily live with them. If you have to live with your wife, you have to understand her. If you always complain that your wife is bad or that your husband is bad, then you have a problem. This is the point. If you are not able to understand people, then you have a problem. You are emotionally weak. So the ability to understand and transform what you are doing in terms of interaction with people is empathy. Organizational awareness is the ability to understand the power relationships in one's group or organization. This is political, isn't it? This is more political. There are different kinds of relationships in every organization. There are gangs, there are groups. You have to be aware of that. You have to understand the nature of the different relationships. There are people that go to the managers to lick their boots, lick their feet, and they get favors. You have to understand those. You have to understand the nature of your manager, the direction of your manager. In a corrupt-related society, you have to understand the rules of the game. Service orientation is anticipating, recognizing, and meeting other people's needs. Anticipate, think, recognize, search, meet, comply to the needs of other people. Because that is what you do. Now in business and corporate world, is service to the people. It's not what you want, it's what the people want. And then it's competition within the world. Today, the world is a global village. And then, what happens? Because of the competition, you have to be people service oriented. If you are not people service oriented, then you are going to lose out in the competition. Social skills refer to proficiency at suggesting desirable response in others. This I have said so many times. You have to be ahead of people in terms of knowledge. Knowledge is not limited to book knowledge. You have to know your environment. You have to be skillful in interaction with people. We started by saying people have different emotions. In an organization with 1,300 people, you have 1,300 people with different orientation. I tell you, if I am wrong, correct me. No two people are alike. No two people, even within the same family, no two people are alike. You know why? Because the situation and different socialization times differ. When I was born, the situation my parents were in was different from when my younger brother was born. Maybe when I was born, my parents were excited. Maybe I'm the first son. Maybe I'm the first child. So the kind of relationship I had may be different. And therefore, the way I behave will be different. and we are talking about 1,300 different people. So we have to understand the different skill sets and emotions of people, and we need to contend with that. We are talking about organizational behavior. We are talking about, in Bangladesh, people that are responsible to managing the affairs of other people and ensuring the development of the nation. If you are not emotionally intelligent, you are going to be a failure, not to yourself, but to your country. So you have to be skillful socially. So you have components of social skills. You have to have the ability of developing others. You have to be an inspiration. You have to influence. You have to communicate. You have to communicate. You have to be a change agent. You have to be able to manage conflict. Then you have to build relationships. You have to build relationships. And then you have to be able to develop teamwork and ensure a certain level of collaboration between people. In USA today, what is important is what is called CLA, collaboration, learning, and adoption. And that is what we are saying here. We have to work together. In our work together, we have to learn, and we have to be able to adapt. So they call it collaboration, learning, and adoption, because people are different. Some people come with new ways of handling things, and we have to follow their ways. We don't have to follow the book always. And we have to learn, and we have to be able to adapt. So I have a lot of tips here that I hope you will be able to look at and then be able to adopt and contextualize. There is no one shoe fits all. Because we are different people, the tips are not a solution. Please, they are not a solution. We have to devise other ways of ensuring that we solve our issues. And we have to be very creative. We have to be creative. I don't want to, in fact, I didn't want the tips. I didn't want the tips because some people take them as the solution to everything. It's not a solution. So emotional intelligence helps us to identify emotions and provides awareness of emotions and ability to accurately read other people's emotions. You are able to know whether some people are sad, whether they are happy, whether they are excited. Using emotions provides a means to generate ideas, a feeling, or a team spirit. Understanding emotions offers insights into what motivates people and other people's points of view. So, understanding emotions gives us some motivation on how we relate to each other and what our expectations are. It's mutual expectations. There is evidence to suggest that emotionally intelligent leadership is the key to creating a work climate in which employees are matured, are nurtured, and encouraged to do their best. You know, you have to have an unbiased mind. You have to have a team spirit mind. You have to have a collaboration mind. You have to be optimistic about life. If not, you will not be able to succeed in leading a people. Or you will not be able to succeed in following the leadership. So it's both ways. In a study at Johnson & Johnson, high-performing managers had higher levels of self-awareness. It was found that high-performing managers have higher levels of knowing themselves. They are more self-aware, self-management capability, social skills, and organizational savvy, which are all considered part of emotional intelligence, and are learned response that are needed for superior leadership. Several researchers have successfully demonstrated the emotions that are related to several of the key issues in leadership. Several quantitative and qualitative studies have provided evidence that empathy is an important trait that predicts and plays a role in leadership emergence. Other studies have concluded that management of group members' emotions is an important part of leadership process. So I think what this is important, when you see the fellow members here, it is because they have high ability to manage a group, a high ability to manage human resources, what is called human resources. Without that ability, they will not be able to contain, they will not be able to fit into the corporate system. Now, I would like to say that, in conclusion, emotional intelligence is our ability to be aware of ourselves first and fit our relationship into our interactions. Manage. We know ourselves, and then we are able to manage the relationships, the interaction we have with other people. And emotional intelligence is to be used in various circumstances. I'm not talking about emotional intelligence on itself. I'm talking about emotional intelligence for itself. We are not going to be talking about emotional intelligence as the word. We are talking about it as the practice. It has to be practical. You can check out some of the books. I have some references here that will guide you. And I look forward to questions. And I would like to still say that anything that you do not understand, you feel free to ask me. If I'm not there, I have Munida, who is my colleague. Anything you think you want me to share with you from my scholarship, I am open to share. So I will say Donabad.